You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, temporarily in Dallas, Texas, along with my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas, and enjoying every bit of this wonderful October weather, except for the tornado.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm on the, I'm kind of on the south central side, just south of the airport and training, and my wife actually called me and asked, she said, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, there was a tornado in Dallas. I'm like, I was walking around, actually on the phone with Jay, talking about what a great day it was. So it actually went like a mile from your house.
Yeah, I called my dad and said, he was like, are you okay? And I called him. I said, yeah, it missed me by a mile. Literally, a mile.
That's amazing.
So it was crazy. I mean, it's just destroyed a bunch of stuff. Luckily, nobody died. I was like, wow. Or got hurt. Like, I don't think there were, there were some injuries.
There were no serious injuries.
Yeah. It was just crazy coming through there.
That is amazing. Yeah.
That was my first tornado. So,
your very first one?
My first tornado ever.
Well, it's kind of funny. We talk about disasters because in Alaska, we don't have tornadoes in Alaska for one thing, but
no,
we have earthquakes, tsunamis.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else have I kind of been up through up there? Oh, we had volcanoes. Remember that?
That's right.
Volcanoes that were dumping ash on Anchorage. What else have we had?
That's pretty much the big ones that I can remember.
Caused by an earthquake, maybe.
We've had high winds before, 130-mile winds come through, but nothing like a tornado. I mean, that's just the recent earthquakes. I don't live there anymore, but I know people who still live up there, and like they're still getting hit. Like it's not over. They're still getting tremors.
That's something that happens up that direction all the time. I mean,
but like more frequently than they've seen in a long, long time. Right. So, like after the big tornado, big earthquake hit recently, there was ongoing earthquakes, and they weren't small ones either. They're still sizable.
They were
not enough to make a lot of damage like that one, but still, I gotta imagine people just get upset because it's just unnerving. But we're all safe, so that's great.
Yes, that is true. We are all safe. We're having a good time. Actually, Mike and I got to hang out for a day, and unfortunately, I'm in training during the weekend, so I wasn't able to go to this event that he is about to kind of bring us up to speed on.
Yeah.
They actually held it's a Huckfest, I think.
Yeah. I think they call it the Northwest Huckfest, and I was like, what the heck is a Huckfest?
You went to Nebraska for this?
And I was talking to one of the guys, and they'll explain that a little bit. I don't want to give it out. But anyway, it's supposed to be a 3-day event, and that got squashed by weather. Friday was, a constant drizzle. I think that, there was just enough things going on that they sort of called it on. They did it for Saturday, and then they just called it for Sunday. So Sunday, I went out and just had a good time. I mean, they were flying, and I got these guys are, these big 100-inch wingspan planes with gassers, DL-120, whatever, the serious stuff out there. And I got my little planes with my little electric planes out there flying around in 15-mile-an-hour winds, trying to stay, stay upright and not crash. But I just flew my Deltas, and that was fine. So.
Well, it didn't look like everything went fine, man. I mean, it looked like you were having fun, but you kept sending back plenty of pictures, and all of a sudden I saw the infamous tame cat, and it did look like it had definitely been tamed forever.
I'm very sad about that. I lost signal. I'm not really sure why. I started looking at the plane and looking at different things, and it's like, it could be that. So. But just somehow it lost signal. It's a Spectrum, and it's an older receiver, 6200, I think, and Spectrum takes anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds to reconnect if you lose signal.
Right.
So if it was just a lost signal, I was just not high enough and it darted right into the ground.
Well, let me ask you a quick question. Since you were flying this aircraft, and you've moved down there, have you flown it? Before the crash, have you flown it in Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't think you'd flown it since you left Alaska, so that's why I was thinking.
Nope,
it's been sitting in a box.
This is the EDF version. I had the other one and I crashed it before I left, and then I got this one from Jeff, which was the EDF version, and I love the EDF version. Right. It's awesome. It was a lot of fun to fly. Yeah, but I just lost signal and it went down, and my other two planes flew like nobody's been. They were all Spectrum, so it's got to be the receiver or something happened with the power system, and it just lost power.
I feel your pain, brother.
That was it.
I feel your pain.
Is it one of those that has the kind of the 90-degree antennas? It's like a 6150 or 6100?
No, it's a 60-something. It had a satellite. So it has satellite. Anyway, I do remember that this particular one had one of those. If you remember back a bunch of episodes ago, we talked about an escape that I needed to put capacitor along with it. Well, that was this one.
Ooh.
So it's possible it was that.
Right.
It's also possible when I picked up I found the adapter I was using because I had a different kind of a connector in there. So the adapter I was using broke in the middle. Like, I have those Dean's to XT60 adapters, and it was broken in the middle. So, but I don't know if that happened at the crash, which it could have easily done, or it could have been already somewhat broken and then just finished breaking, or what. So there's a bunch of different possibilities here. I'm certainly going to be wary of this particular receiver, and I'm probably going to try to find a different escape. I might get rid of that escape altogether, or put it on one of my smaller planes that doesn't matter as much, like just something else.
Blue core.
And a blue core, exactly. And build some of those. So anyway, it's kind of a bummer. But the upside is that means I have space open for one of my planes that's been sitting in the closet. And so
there you go. That's what you got to turn that frown upside down, my friend.
Yeah, that's right.
I take it that it's not repairable then.
Oh no! I mean, you didn't see the picture?
No, you haven't seen the pictures yet.
Both of you, I think.
No, he was in training today.
Definitely parts.
I didn't see it yet. I'll have to pick it up.
It's a good plane. I don't know if I'd buy it again or buy it, but I liked it. It was a plane that I would have kept around and fly pretty regularly. Almost always took it with me to the flying field, and I flew it at least once or twice. I think I just like the EDF-ness of it and the way it flew because of that. That plane, even with the EDF, would fly for 6 or 7 minutes. It was,
wow.
Yeah, it was really awesome. So it didn't need all the power.
So speaking of EDFs, Mike, you also maidened another EDF this weekend, right?
That's right.
Not this weekend. Last weekend.
Oh, okay.
I did that. I maidened it, and I had 3 flight issues, but nothing that broke it into pieces.
Well, back up so our listeners can know what the heck we're talking about.
We've talked about before. It's your jet. Your
turbojet. Yeah, it's the turbojet. It's a twin turbojet. Yeah.
And this is the one that we've talked about that you were learning to paint. You did a really good job. I thought it looked really, really great.
And it still looks really great.
Okay.
There's some
scratches.
Yeah, scratches on it.
That'll buff out.
But other than that, it's flying great. But the first thing that happened is the canopy came off because the magnet doesn't work very well, and it says so on RC groups and whatever. That wasn't a big deal of itself, and I was flying around really well. But then that plane took a hit, and it basically rotated. And because there's no more canopy, the battery jumped out.
It was hanging out?
So it jumped out all the way. I lost it.
You lost the battery?
Yeah, the battery.
The battery fell out of the airplane.
Fell out of the airplane, yeah. But I had caught it, and it was hanging out for a little bit. And then so I was flying it, and I was getting it close to the ground, and then it fell out the rest of the way. But it just sort of floated to the ground and landed. Like, I think it broke off one of the wheels because I was still flying wheels out.
Huh.
So it just survived.
What?
I mean, yeah, I was totally amazed. So then I spent a few minutes putting some Velcro in there for the battery.
Wait.
I should have
so
done.
you had a 2200 three cell, right? Or was it bigger?
Yep.
Okay. And canopy came off, no big deal, flying around.
Yep.
And then the battery said, hey, that looked like fun. Let me follow the canopy. Jumped out, but got hung up on his harness so it couldn't get all the way out. And then you got close to the ground, and then the battery said, well, look, I'm halfway to the ground. I might as well just jump out the rest of the way. And it disconnected from the plane.
I think that's pretty close.
And then the plane wafted to the ground.
The canopy came out, and then it was flying, and then the radio took a hit. And so I lost signal for it was like very short time. It's a free sky, so it was a very short hit. Because of that, the plane had rotated so that the battery came out. But the battery's just sort of hanging there. So I'm like, oh, crap, the battery's hanging there. I got to land this thing. So I'm trying to bring it toward the ground. And then, bloop, battery comes off all the way. And then it basically just floats straight to the ground.
So you had no power, no control, no nothing.
Wait. But the thing is that it's tail heavy. So it was already kind of nosing down. And it just basically rocked itself like a leaf in a way to the ground.
Like a leaf.
I don't know how else to explain it.
Was anybody else out there watching?
And the wing was still on, and the gear was still on except for one, and the battery was sitting over off to the side, and it was okay.
Did anybody else at the field see this?
What's that?
Did anybody?
Yeah, somebody else did. It was like, oh, it looks like you lost your canopy. He's like, yeah, I did. But it was like, so then I put it back together and put Velcro in for the battery. That I felt that was smart play on my part.
I guess the painter's tape didn't hold it. Huh?
So now I didn't hear that, Jay.
I said the painter's tape didn't hold it. I guess.
I guess not. Well, the funny thing is, somebody goes, "Hey, do you want some cellophane tape for that?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to do it that way because if I do, it'll pull the tape of the paint off, and so I'm going to do it some way else." So I ended up putting Velcro on the canopy, and actually it works really great now. The canopy won't come off. So my second flight, maybe second or third flight. Second flight, I flew it around and I came down and I landed it halfway on the grass, halfway on the runway. And so I lost the wheel again. And so I just put some more glue on it, put it back together, and then flew it again. And I think I hit hard the third time and lost the wheel again. But it was, the third one I just crashed it down and broke the wheel. And so it didn't work anymore. I think I stripped the wires. That's what happened. I broke it off and it stripped the wires, so it didn't operate anymore. But I had another one. I had another one at home. It's working right now. I could put it back in the air.
Right, you got like 5 of them. I remember when we were working on one at my house. We'd fixed like 5
or
6
I did. So I still had one in the box. And the other challenge was, there's no way I could fly this in the winds we had today. It probably would fly okay, but I would have been nervous doing it. Because
why?
What?
Oh, thank goodness that you weren't nervous
because
in the last stuff.
It's such a light plane and the winds were gusting. I mean, it's just not a Delta, and it would have been pushed around and it would have been a real struggle. It's a 3-minute plane, so you go around once the circuit, put your wheels in, go around again, put your wheels out, go around again, put it down. I mean, that's pretty much how it rolls.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, no question.
Because that's, basically Jay makes fun of me all the time about, oh, you only flew 1 minute? Yeah, well, that's why.
Yeah, no, I understand. But it's still fun. I mean, I still like it. I really enjoy the the plane flies completely different with the wheels up, as it should. And it kind of leans forward a little bit, I guess. The wheels tend to make it draggy and pull the CG back. And then you put the wheels up, and all of a sudden it's nose down solid, going fast, faster anyway. I just feel like it's so fast, like everything's happening. So, oh God, I got to put the wheels in. Oh God, it's going faster. It's flying different now. Oh God, and you don't really have any time to sort of get used to how it feels because by then you're out of battery.
It was like you're 16 years old learning how to drive again. You know how fast you were going, huh?
I think so. I mean, I really feel like it. But at the same time, I enjoyed flying it, and it looked good in the air with the colors and stuff. And I got a couple comments on it. It's like, oh, that looks nice. And so,
excellent. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool.
We're excited to hear that. Well, we're kind of excited to hear about this Huckfest. But before we jump into that, I want to give a shout out to Ernie and Bryant Mack from the club that I'm in, because they went to the 2019 Tucson shootout which is kind of the tournament of champions. And Ernie Mack, Ernie, he's Bryant's dad. They went down there, and Bryant competed and actually took first place. So I'd like to congratulate those guys because Bryant did a really good job. And first place, I know that they were struggling really hard. He had crashed an airplane out the desert and was getting ready for this and had to rebuild one and then take it to Tucson. And they wound up, putting it back together and getting, a trophy out of it. So congratulations, guys. I know that they're proud of it. And I just heard that they actually went out and flew some turbine jets. And I think Ernie caught the bug. So we'll have to see when I get home if that's actually the case.
Okay, I have a question. You said he had to rebuild it. Did they actually made it in Tucson?
That's a good question. I don't think they made it in Tucson because when I talked to Ernie, and actually they may have been going somewhere else rather than the Tucson shootout. But I know that he kind of spun one in, and it didn't damage the wings or tail or anything. It just crushed the fuselage. So they wound up actually lucking out and getting a whole fuselage. And then they used all the other stuff that came off the other airplane. So I'll have to talk to him more about it and kind of get, more details on it. But I do know that they did really well. I saw photos. I was unable to attend the Tucson shootout because I'm obviously here in training. From all the things that I was getting, across my Facebook page and emails and that kind of thing, he did really well. So anyway, shout out to those two guys, and thanks for representing the Sun Valley Flyers Club. We're pretty excited about them.
Congratulations.
Well, cool. That sounds great.
So with that, you were able to get out there and talk to a couple people. And how did this Huckfest come about? Is it something that you knew was coming down, or that you just kind of heard about?
Well, it's my club put it on.
Okay.
And it's something that I guess they had been looking to do. It's something that I don't think there is much that goes on like that here in Texas. There's Flight Fest. I've been to that. I've only been here about a year or so. So there might be some things I'm not aware of, and I'm certainly be happy if our listeners told us about different stuff that we haven't been to yet. But there just isn't, from what I can tell, a lot of big events here. I'm sure there are some. Don't get me wrong, but I just haven't heard about them.
Yeah, I don't know if there's too many big, large 3-day type events in this South Central Texas region area. So this may have been kind of one of the first ones that they're putting on. From what I understand, your club is trying to get more events like this, and there's some groups that are, kind of putting stuff together. But it sounds like, the initial 3-day event was supposed to be something that, would draw a big crowd. Were there a lot of people there for the 1 day? Because I know you and I spent Friday together, and it was terrible. It was raining everywhere and cold, and we wound up just hanging out and going to dinner. But that was supposed to be that day, right? The Huckfest was supposed to start that day.
Yeah, I think that the weather scared people away.
Did it?
Yeah, because, if you're going to drive any distance, you're not going to chance it on the idea that someone says, yeah, it'll be fine, right?
True.
I mean,
yeah.
You're going to look at that and you're going to go, yeah, you know what? I don't want to do it.
Right.
And so you're going to go. There was a family that came out from Oklahoma City, and I talked to him. I asked people around, who should I talk to?
Uh-huh.
And they pointed me to the different people, and that's basically who I interviewed. Is the folks that they talked about. So in terms of the number of people, it certainly wasn't like the Electric Festival. It is the first one we've ever had here. It went really well. For when they were there, it was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, there was a dude with a helicopter there. I was like, hey, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, I guess he's 3D in that thing. So I guess that makes sense. It just went really well, and they had great prizes, too. Folks who changed their mind about that, I think, while they wouldn't have gotten 3, they would have only gotten 2 days of flying. I think they missed something. That's what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha. Well, I know that normally if they hold a Huckfest, which is the kind of the term for the 3D style type airplanes, that I know that they've held some out on the East Coast and some up in the Northwest. And speaking of Northwest, I've been following Tim Hanstein from Northwest RC, and man, this boy is traveling. I have not seen anybody travel as much as that guy has, because he was, out in Indiana and then California, and then he was in Tucson, and then he went back home, and then that was just, a week or so ago, and now I heard that he was down here in Texas at your event.
Oh, so you got to see him again. That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually interviewed him, and so this is what we talked about.
Oh, well, let's give a listen.
All right, this is Mike Borsley with the Parkfly Podcast, and I am sitting here at the 3D Huckfest that the RRCC group is putting on, and I'm sitting here talking with Tim
Hanstein. That's right.
I don't want to mess that up. Thank you for saying that.
That's all right. Yeah,
and,
you bet.
We've talked before. Well,
Yeah.
I've talked with Mike and you before, I guess.
Yeah.
At the Electric Festival. So it's really good to see you in a different environment.
Yep.
Watching you fly different planes. You were flying a gasser. I was like, surprised.
Yeah, I know, right? I make noise. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And some good flying at that.
Oh, thanks.
I see right now there's a helicopter. I didn't even think that people would be flying those here, but I guess that can be 3D too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a new event. So this is the North Texas Huckfest, at this field. They've got a couple big events here in Texas, but, they're trying to get them closer to this area. I mean, Texas is a big state. I don't have to tell you.
No, you don't.
It takes a long time to get anywhere sometimes,
That's right.
So this is the first time here. I'm actually pretty thrilled to see the turnout that they do have, considering, they had the weather look nasty.
Yeah, Thursday night when they announced it, it said, yeah, we're on for the weekend. And then Thursday night, downpour.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's brutal.
Biblical rain.
Yeah,
it was pretty bad.
It was.
Yeah.
And then Friday we had a bit of a drizzle, I guess, pretty consistent drizzle throughout the day.
Yeah, they brought that up for me. They tried to make it just like Seattle.
So you're feeling at home and having some fun.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. No, it's great. It's first time out here, and it's I haven't flown in Texas before, and my buddy Kyle flew
This
me
is
out
your first
here.
time in Texas?
Well, I was born here.
What?
Which is crazy. So I was actually born in Texas. I was a military brat.
Okay.
But I was born here, and at 2 months old, we were deployed over to, the Philippines, and I'd never been back to Texas. I've had layovers, airport, and, gone around tornadoes and stuff like that on my cross-country flights. But, first time actually, boots on the ground, flying in Texas. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
And as you know, this is my new home. I come from Alaska.
Okay.
And transplanted to Dallas here. So.
Wow. Polar opposites, right?
Yeah, they truly are. And I'm really happy for it, too.
Yeah.
I love the weather here.
Yeah.
So did you bring anything new with you? Or?
So actually, no. I just flew out. So the club here, they've been really supportive of the business. We just anniversaried 4 years of having our shop, which is great, and we've grown and grown, and we're still doing our best to get out there in front of customers. And Extreme Flight's a big name for us. Skywing's another brand that we brought in, and we've got some representation both out here. And they set me up with a couple planes to fly for the weekend, which is awesome.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
They're the newest, latest, greatest. A couple of the planes we're flying are we just had the Tucson shootout 2 weekends ago, right? And if you look at that, I think there were 7 of this extra 300 in the invitational portion of the freestyle. So I'm flying that out there. Rhett Lambert, he's another great pilot. He flies for AJ Aircraft. He's here. Jonathan Jennings, came out of the woodwork to, fly his Slick 580. So, we got a good group of, top tier guys, and of course all the locals too. That's why I'm here. We're looking for those names and faces that are, up and coming and who's out there. Because, you hear mixed things about the hobby and the industry. It's becoming stagnant, or maybe there's less interest. But I think they're not looking in all the right places.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't really hear that, because when they start talking like that, I go, la, la, la,
yeah,
la.
exactly.
That's how I handle it.
Exactly.
Maybe it's not very mature, but that's how I handle it.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's cool. So what do you feel like this is flying in Texas any different for you? Like how does that? It's pretty much the same. I mean,
it's about the same. I mean, there's the different parts of the country have different flying styles. But with what we're doing with the giant scale aircraft, everything has gotten faster. The classic 3D low and slow. It's still an art, and there's still some people that do it well, but everybody is doing XA. XA is extreme aerobatics is what they're calling it, and Rhett's a master at that. Jonathan, the same thing. I do my well, someone pointed out, I posted on social media, I'm here, and they said, hey, man, those other two guys are here. Do you know you're older than both those two guys combined? but you're right there with them, so I felt okay about that.
I'm probably old as all three of you put together, right. So don't worry about that.
No, but it's good, and we're having a great time, and it's, the contrast between this and the Electric Festival. You go to the Electric Festival, they're not quite as aggressive,
Yeah, this definitely has a different feel from that.
It's a very specific
like the
format.
music that they had was more tended to be more heavy metal.
Yeah,
or, he had some. He's an interesting eclectic set of songs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think some of the pilots actually asked them to play certain music while they're flying, and I imagine that's helpful in getting the rhythm in.
That was part of Rhett has a demonstration. He did his performance or his routine that he did for freestyle. His dad even came up. He's like, "I bet you heard this before." I'm like, "Yeah, 5 times," because they do 5 rounds of freestyle out there at Tucson. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's definitely a different environment. The Huckfest is what these are kind of labeled as.
What does that mean, Huckfest?
Well, going around doing the 3D stuff we're hucking these giant airplanes around.
Right,
we're defying gravity.
Okay.
We're it doesn't make sense to take a $5,000 aircraft and repeatedly throw it at the ground.
Well, and speaking of that, I saw one move that you did, and I was sitting there with Mike Smith, and we were watching it, and you did this thing where you basically pointed at the ground and increased speed, and then flopped the tail over. And I imagine you had to increase the speed to flop the tail over properly, but we both looked at each other like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a pretty neat trick. I had never seen that before, so it's kind of cool.
And a lot of what we're doing is managing energy, too.
Sure.
Traditional, you talk about the iMac, they're precision, they're smooth, they're consistent. Even pattern that same way with XA, throttle's another flying surface on this.
Right.
With how much throttle, it definitely changes how the plane's reacting in the air.
Sure.
So.
I call it blues flying.
Yeah.
You sort of just do what you
exactly. You go on a tangent, let the rhythm just roll, and you're off on your own thing.
That's how I look at it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really a good thing, and it's really an interesting. This for me, this is just far afield from what I'm normally used to.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's been very interesting to watch and pay attention to.
Oh yeah, no, that's great.
Well, do you have anything that you want to talk about that Northwest RC is doing right now?
We're like I said, we just hit 4 years, so thanks to everybody for their support. We're still getting out there. We're diversifying our products. We've got, besides the brands that we import already, we're actually establishing our own brand of accessories. That's, the whole point of our accessory line is, they know us for the giant scale RC stuff. Well, with our extensions, we've got high quality, 20 gauge silicone extensions.
Oh, wow.
We've got our own arms. We've got our own tanks. And we're just, expanding that dramatically because every plane at some point needs some of that to get in the air.
Sure.
So, more than anything, we just want to let people know we're a resource and, we take our time to do our research and make sure it's as good or better than it should be. So, yeah.
Well, it's really good having you. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
All right. Well, I have to say that Tim is a madman because that boy's been everywhere. But I'm glad that he was out there. The gas airplane, it's kind of funny because we normally see Tim flying electrics, and this was actually gas. And you were kind of surprised at that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know him any other way. So for me, it was a surprise to see that he was flying a gas airplane.
Wow, and that's amazing. So I'm excited because I think Tim's coming out to the Electric Festival again, so we'll get to see him again. But yeah, he's been doing a lot of traveling. I think if you take an opportunity to go to northwestrc.com, you'll see that he has a complete line of Northwest RC products now too. So that's pretty good. And so we really like Tim. We support him. He's probably one of the better guys that puts a lot of effort into the hobby, and I think he gets a lot out of the hobby as well. So
sure,
we're glad.
I got a chance to talk to him privately off air, and I said, "So when's next thing you're doing?" "Oh, I go home and turn around and come out, and I go to another event."
Right.
So he's like, "I think he's going to be home one day."
Yeah.
Hey,
that's
honey,
amazing.
I am alive, See you later. Yeah.
Well, the good news though is that from what I've seen, he and I are friends on Facebook, and from what I've seen, he's been taking his kid around too. So I think he's got the Timmy Jr. The little super Tim, and I've seen him out flying some stuff too. So it's good because he's got his kids involved, and I know he works incredibly hard. I just have to tell you that if you're a listener, please support Northwest RC because those guys do an incredible job up there. Super nice. I've ordered a lot of stuff from those guys, and I know Spencer, they're his go-to guy as well. So great servos, great products. Give them a shout. NorthwestRC.com. And Tim, we appreciate your support here at the Park Flyer Podcast. So I know that you mentioned in another episode that at the Nats this year, one of the guys from your club was able to go up there and compete. And I think he won the advanced competition at the Nats. Yeah,
so I did interview Rhett, and why don't we just go to it, and then you can hear that.
All right. Well, Rhett Lambert, he won the competition up there, and you were able to kind of talk to him. So let's head back out to the field and hear what Rhett has to say.
And welcome back. I'm sitting in the car talking with Rhett Lambert. Now, we've talked about you before, Rhett, and you probably didn't know this because I doubt that you've heard our podcast because unfortunately I haven't done a really good job of talking about it with the club.
Right.
But some of the club members know, and we're starting to get it out there. But you won recent awards.
Yes, sir, I have. 2 years. So I started flying IMAC 3 years ago. I think this past nationals marked my third year. I started in the basic class because it's all IMAC, right? So we have the 5 basic classes: IMAC, Sportsman, Intermediate, Advanced, and Unlimited, in that order.
Okay.
And then I started off in basic, of course. Won my first contest. I got in second in my first contest, and that was within a year of me starting to flying. So I started flying 4 years ago, then started 3 years ago IMAC. Did my first contest, and after that same year, I went to my first nationals. 3 months later, I got 5th, and then the next year I went back, and this is all. Before nationals. I went to Camp Clover Creek, and we basically go there and they select a certain amount of kids from the U.S. and they teach us how to perfect our skills, right?
Okay.
So I went there, and then I went to my first nationals, got 5th. The next year went back to Clover Creek, got 1st, and won the Schroeder Cup in the sportsman class.
Wow.
Which is the highest percentage of raw points out of any kid under 18.
Okay. And how old are you now?
I'm 16 now.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So I was not the youngest. I would think I was the second to youngest kid there. And I won 1st sportsman and 1st in the Schroeder Cup. And then this next year, which is last year, afterwards, I went into intermediate class, which is the next class right up.
Uh-huh.
But once I got to Clover Creek, we have every single year we have swept Nats or nationals.
Uh-huh.
So where all the Clover Creek kids won 1st in every single class.
No kidding.
And there was nobody in the advanced class, but I was in intermediate class, and he said that I was flying so good. From what I've heard, I was flying that good. I don't know if I agree or not.
Well, of course.
but he moved me up into advanced, and then I went that year, and then I placed 1st in advanced, so I won the 1st in the national championships in the advanced class this year. I also went to the Tucson Aerobatic Shootout this year. I got 2nd in advanced and 13th. I think it was 13th in freestyle, and that was the first Tucson Aerobatic Shootout that I've ever been to. It's an invitational contest.
Uh-huh.
I also went to the Clover Creek TOC Invitational, where it's the older TOC guys fly their IMAX stuff, and then we fly freestyle. And I think, if I remember correctly, I got also 13th or 12th. I can't forget the placement. It might have, it was somewhere in that area.
Okay.
At Clover Creek. I think it was last year. I went to the World Championships, got 7th in Sportsman.
Wow.
At the World Championships. So yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Where were the Worlds?
Worlds were in Muncie, Indiana. Same place as Nats or Nationals.
Okay.
Same place as those.
Well, that's cool.
Yes,
so tell me a little bit about Clover Creek. I mean, is that...
So Clover Creek it's up in Toon, Tennessee. It was ran by John Schroeder and Tina Schroeder, but sadly this last year John Schroeder passed away, and he was the guy who started everything.
Okay.
But after he passed away, David Mosier, which is really his like the kid that followed him, you know,
protege.
John Schroeder was his mentor. After David decided to take on and follow in the dreams that John wanted.
Wow.
You know, keep the legacy going.
Wow, that's
which
cool.
he is doing very well. I mean, he's outstanding, and more than I could. He's taught me so much. You know.
So is this like a camp?
Yeah.
Or
So
like
we go up there for a month in June.
A month.
Yes, and we sleep up there. They provide everything. We don't have to pay for anything.
So I'm guessing that you got to have good grades, because otherwise your dad would say, "Forget it."
Yeah. Well,
not
they
going.
always ask about grades. You're like, "How are your grades doing?
Yeah,
You're not
exactly.
failing and all that, right?" And we go up there. We bring our own planes, but they pay for everything else. They handle groceries, sleeping, showers, everything.
Wow.
But we go up there for a month, and every single day we just go and fly, and we sit in a tent, you know. And this year we had 5 kids. So it was.
Can an old man go?
It's more meant for kids.
Right.
So it's capped out.
I'm thinking we need to make a Clover Creek for old men. Maybe I don't know.
It's capped out at 18. So
Okay.
once you hit 18, you're not technically a Clover Creek kid anymore.
So
you'll forever be a Clover Creek kid.
Yeah, I get your point. Right. So could you be a counselor at that point?
Well, you can come back as a volunteer.
Volunteer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and pay your own way at that point.
Yeah. You have to pay for your food. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Make a reason.
Well,
for
you're 18. You probably eat a lot more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but we're there for a month, and we all go through each other. We all help each other. You know, the camaraderie that we get out of that. At that point, we're all family. I am part of the Clover Creek family. We are a Clover Creek family.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean,
right? We're so close.
The fact that you guys sweep those contests is it's amazing.
4 times. Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty
year,
great.
yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, so we're all brothers, you know, and we up there we teach each other how to perfect our flying.
Yeah,
and that's
really cool.
Right.
So, how many planes did you crash when you first started flying?
I can't remember. The first year that I started flying, I at least crashed 4.
4 planes?
The past 3 years, I've crashed at least 5.
Did your dad make you pay for them, or
no?
Oh wow!
My dad's been supporting me all the way through, you know, doing more than he could even afford. You know,
he's a good man.
Yes, he's made more than he can, you know, trying to make sure that I get what I need to progress.
Sure.
You know?
Well,
I can't think of enough for that. Same with my mom. She's helped a lot, too.
How about simulator? Did you end up doing anything?
Oh, yeah. So, for sim-wise, I at least get 3 to 4 hours a day.
Wow.
Every single day. I try to get as much time as I can. You know, of course, I tell my dad it's after homework, but I definitely do it before homework.
He won't hear this podcast, so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That he doesn't know.
No, he knows. He knows that I don't always do my homework.
No. Well, cool. Was there so if there's anything that you would tell somebody looking at this hobby for the first time, whether they're someone who's your age or younger, or someone who's maybe even older and looking at getting it, what would you say to them if you had?
Don't rush yourself.
What do you mean by that?
So. You don't
get the plane that flies 100 miles an hour?
Yes.
I mean, that spoils it. I mean, that's so much fun.
Many people do that, and you want to jump into the biggest plane, but so many people do that and crash, and they're just not learning anything.
Yeah.
You need to trust the process. You know, get on the simulator, practice before you come out and fly.
Do you have a plane that you would recommend as a first-time plane?
So, first-time plane, E-Flight Apprentice for sure. The high wing trainer, or even a timber if you want to do something that looks a little bit different but still flies really good.
Now you're talking about glow planes here, right? Well, the timber's electric.
Well, there's a small electric planes, yeah. But if you really want to get into 3D, I would look at something from Twisted Hobbies, or like a Crack Yak or something from Twisted Hobbies.
That makes sense.
Or a Flex Innovations QQ Extra or something like that.
Okay.
You know, something that's durable. You can crash into the ground and break, because you're going to do a lot of crashing. Yeah. You're going to do a lot of crashing. You need something that can be fixable and still fly good. And that's where you're really going to look for the foam stuff. Once you get a lot of practice and you're able to trust yourself, then you can start moving up into the balsa planes.
Sure.
And then you can start looking at AJ aircraft and stuff like that, which are really good planes. You know?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of good stuff out here today. I don't know all the different makes and models of the different planes, but man, some of them are really beautiful.
Yeah.
And the sizes too. I think 100. I heard someone say 100.
Yeah. So the plane that I'm flying is a 103-inch AJ Slick 540. It's a 100cc plane. It has a DA 120 on it. MKS 380s throughout. I'm running Spectrum Power Safe boards and the Spectrum Power Safe. Spectrum radio DX18.
Okay.
Pulse batteries. So yeah, it's a 103-inch wingspan, and usually they're about the equivalent wingspan as it is length.
Okay, so electric, glow, gas, favorite?
Gas.
Gas. And is that because of like the bigger plane, or because of just gas? What does it draw for gas?
See, a close second would be electric. Most people have the gas and electric type of battle.
Uh-huh.
I definitely like electric because they have a lot of power. They're light and they're fun.
Uh-huh.
But when you get to gas, you're able to fly as much as you want. As much as you got in your tank, that's as much you can fly.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, with the electric,
so it's about time more than anything.
You can fly for a lot longer. You can. I mean, it's not as clean, but I mean, in my opinion, they just fly better.
Yeah, cool. Hey, I really appreciate you taking time to
talk
to me.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll later.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's an incredibly cool guy. Sounds like. Now, did you meet him before? Did you know him before?
Yeah, I had met him in an earlier club meeting because they're club members. You know, it's amazing. Here's I guess he's about 16 or 17 years old, kid, and he's done a lot of competition and done really well. And yet he's still well-grounded, still really respectful. Like,
yeah,
just a great kid, all-around great kid. I mean, really.
Well, and it's always good to hear the younger guys. I know there's a little group of guys where their father and son teams, and it's always good to see that the parents and kids get involved in this kind of thing. And the fact that he's able to go to some of these events, and compete and win, it's amazing. So, yeah, I would like to give a shout out to Rhett and congratulations on your hard work. And sounds like you had a lot of fun. So
most definitely.
It's always fun when you can go out there and just kind of, cut up with all the other guys. You're not really, competing for some big trophy. You're under all this pressure to actually do something and get points and that kind of thing, when you can just go out and kind of show off. And I was watching some of the videos that you sent, and they were amazing. I mean, that kid is really good on the sticks, makes me look really bad.
16, 17.
I know, right?
Well, from my perspective, I have only up to go.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, right.
Very true. Very, very
little
true.
airplane humor there.
Yep, that is true. Well, unfortunately, we're rolling in on our hour. It's pretty crazy.
Yep. It's almost up, my friend. So real quick around the table, anything, Mike, you did all the flying, AK Mike. So anything else that was of quick interest when you were flying, or any other batteries jumping out, ejecting?
No, I think the thing I want to say
to the ground?
That I noticed the most was there was more than I expected groups of father-son.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
In some future interviews that we'll record that I have recorded, John and Jonathan Jennings, John Jennings was a team flyer. He had his own team.
Oh, wow.
They went around and flew at different events, and then Jonathan is a competitor as well. So there are, I think, at least 3 sets or 4 sets of father-son or folks out there. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
and the other thing I got out of it was, if you want to be a good 3D flyer, you really need to do some IMAC flying.
I can agree with that.
So other than that, those are the 2, I would say, main things that I took away from all of this, other than the awesomeness of it, the way they fly. These guys are doing what's called XA flying, extreme aerobatics flying, and I call it the blues of flying, because it's not really a patterned approach. Mm-hmm. They don't have a specific pattern they do. Maybe each of them has their own pattern, but it's pretty much how they feel like what to do, or they're in a position. So there's because they're in that position, they'll do a different this move. If they were in a different position, they would do a different move. And it's like listening to blues. You don't know where it's going to go. They're following some rhythm, and maybe it's music that they're listening to, or just the way that the wind's blowing or whatever. It's kind of like blues.
Well, I will tell you, Mike, that it sounds and looks like that, but that is not truly the case. Because I've been out at the field watching. It's called a freestyle event, right? And it's usually set to music. But I will tell you that I have seen Bryant Mack out there doing his freestyle routine, And that's exactly what it is. It's a routine. So they practice and practice and practice that because they do those at the IMAC events, and they do them at the Tucson Shootout and some of the other stuff. So they're able to.
Right.
But I know what you're saying. In their head, they have to create a routine that when, that kind of blends into that music and tries to, depending on which way the wind's doing.
I'm just saying it's their rhythm. It's
Correct.
Their mindset.
That is
and
correct.
Maybe it's not different every time, and that makes sense, right? Because it's not easy what they're doing, and you can't just go changing it up. But these guys are really good. Like, I saw mistakes be made, and because, he's a little bit more nose down than he should be, but then watching him correct it like it wasn't nothing, like it was part of the routine. But, you could tell because maybe somebody who knew him go, oh, that was a mistake, like out loud.
Right, because I can tell too. Like, if I watch Bryant fly enough times, I can tell, and you can tell in their body language when they make a mistake, which is totally hilarious. Because I can see Bryant get mad. He doesn't it's not an outward angry type stuff, but I can see the tenseness in his shoulders, or I can see his face scrunch up, like I know I made a mistake, and it's kind of funny to watch. But those guys are amazing flyers. It sounds like we still have some more interviews to talk about when we come back. Unfortunately, our time's up this week. But I'm excited to hear the rest of these interviews and hear, how they liked it. And I'm excited that your club, didn't get the whole 3 days, but I'm excited that they at least got, a big turnout for the one day.
It was a great effort. I think it was even though it wasn't a lot of people, it was a good turnout. So it was good. It was a good thing. And I think, if you thought you were going to go this year, you really should go next year because, like I said, I think you have a good time. It's just awesome watching people fly. I know people were learning things there. It was just fun.
Good. Well, the good news is this is my last day in Dallas, at least for a couple of days. I do get to go home this evening, so by Tuesday night I'll be, or actually tomorrow. I get to go home on Wednesday, so I should be home tomorrow, and maybe I can get out there. I got a couple of days off, so maybe I'll go out if the weather's nice because it's getting nice in Phoenix. I've actually seen a couple of videos from Spencer and Barry. They were out at the 1/8 Air Force this last weekend, the same weekend, I guess, this past weekend. And so that's kind of I missed that event, and I was able to go last year. So I guess congratulations to Barry. He won 3 different awards for his F-18 jet. So I give a shout out to him as well. But
well, what did he win? The Strainer Award? What kind of awards did he win?
You know what? He won.
Maybe you can interview him and ask him.
Yes, I could. I could probably talk to him when I get home. But I think he actually sent me a note and told me that he had won a couple of awards, and it looks like he got one for the best jet, and I think he got one. 3rd place for the best military flight, and I think he got another 3rd place for the People's Choice. So he got some really nice awards, and
that's
they
great.
actually look really cool. I like the best jet. It's got a little metal F-14 on a plaque. It's really kind of cool looking.
That's cool.
But, but he was pretty happy.
I guess the reason why I said the Strainer Award because I just the one memory I have that just sticks in my mind is when we were Electric Festival and he put it through that cactus or whatever it was, that bush. I mean, that was terrible. I mean, he was so distraught by it. I mean, because it was a surprise. Yeah,
it was a surprise. Well, this was his big turbine jet, so unfortunately for him, he didn't have to. I'm glad he didn't strain that one because that would have been pretty devastating. But yeah, congratulations, Barry. You did pretty well on the 3rd places in the best jet. So,
I mean, that's a national thing, right?
No, it's just I don't know I don't think it's a national thing. It's a local 1/8 Air Force West Coast thing. There's some guys from kind of all over, but it's just everything that's in the 1/8. You have to have a 1/8 scale or bigger, so it's at least a 1/8 scale. And when I went last year, there was a lot of really cool stuff. So I'm kind of sad I missed it. But good news is, like I said, tomorrow's for me. I'll be done here for the most part, and I'll have a little bit of time off. So, back to the grind.
What about you, Jay? I mean, what have you been doing?
Well, I've really have RC wise. I really haven't been doing that much other than my 3D printing. I actually completed my little project I've been talking about with my the gas stuff, and which was I just kind of built a holder for my gas hand pump, which attaches to the actual gas can. And like I said, I spent like a day or two learning how to do the software, a day or two trying to figure out the curves of the can. And it's really stupid because, I mean, what took me a long time, and it wasn't until I was talking to AZ Mike, and I was like, yeah, I'm having a hard time figuring out the radius of these cans, or what the radius is on the can, this, that, and the other thing. And he's like, well, don't they have a tool for that? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to spend, $30-$50 for this tool. And that just made me think, oh, go to Thingiverse and look up there, and they probably have radiuses on the, a little tool you can print out in your 3D printer. And sure enough,
go figure, right?
So I ended up printing out the little tool. I figured out what the radius was, and I was able to make the curved part that I needed, and it turned out rather well. Oh, and that luckily a friend of mine sent me some specialized plastic glue to glue the thing together. So I tried to glue it together with CA glue, and promptly I was able to pull it apart, and it didn't work as well. This other glue reminds me a lot of alcohol. It's like has the same consistency, it's the same color. And that kind of threw me off because I kept thinking it was going to be blue for some reason.
Does it behave the
PVC
same
pipe,
when you drink it
cement?
too as alcohol?
No, don't drink this.
Hey, your lips will be glued together.
This glue is really weird because my buddy's like, hey, don't use too much of it. And I go, oh, kind of like thin CA. Yeah, I know. And he's like, no, you don't understand this stuff. You got to be quick, and you got to, it tends to go everywhere, but it evaporates like nobody's business. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking like alcohol will evaporate. No, this stuff quite literally, if you put a drop on your hand or you're on the table, by the time it hits the table, it's like gone. Wow. So you can't you just can't pour it out. It comes in like a can that looks like PVC glue, but it's totally sealed with metal. And I was like, that's weird. I've never seen a can like that. I'm like, how do I open this? Like with a bottle opener? Like a metal bottle can opener? But no, you take a little nail and you poke a little hole through it, and then you take a syringe, you stick it in there, you suck out what you need, you dabble it there, and you quickly put your pieces together, and then it melts the two pieces together chemically. So it's kind of cool that way.
Cool. We'll have to hear more about it.
Yeah, I'm gaining some experience, but that's been about it for me. Now that it's cool, actually gone under 90 degrees, I'm thinking about heading out to the field and bushwhacking the field and getting it cut and getting with Jim and getting up the flying again since I have a plane that's almost ready to fly.
We're ready to hear about it. So, well, that's it for this week. I guess we'll hear more about the Huckfest on our next episode. If you want to hear about anything or have any questions for us, you can contact us on our Facebook listeners group. It's the Park Flyer Podcast listeners group on Facebook, and or send us an email at parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com. So looking forward to more interviews here at our next episode. But for now, I'm Michael from Arizona, temporarily in Texas.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
All righty, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.